Hey there, it's Val with the Higher Vibe Project. And today I'm having my very first conversation with my good friend Tam. We're going to be talking about some subjects that are going to be very exciting. So stay tuned. Hey, Tam.
Hello.
So I think first today we've decided to talk about BRICS, right? You know, it's a
Yeah,
hot topic. I think
yeah.
that's first and foremost on everybody's mind right now is what's going to go on with the financial system. And that's a big part of it. So I'm excited to get moving here. Basically, what Tam does is, if you don't know, she does a thing called journeying, and it's not quite the same as being a psychic, but it's similar. She can go in and she sees the energies, and she's actually kind of uncanny. So I'm excited about this. It's going to be fun.
Thanks. So basically, take take what resonates with you, and I can only show you like what I'm gonna say is whatever I can see right now, and these things do change. So yeah, I'm just gonna go in and just share what I see when it comes around to the bricks, and just follow my heart on, yeah, and I'll just say whatever comes up, and then Val's going to ask me more questions so we can go a bit deeper, because it does help having other people's viewpoints and other questions. So yeah, just I'm just going to go in. Right, so we're going to have a look at the because the bricks, it's a bricks meeting, isn't there, this week? So
Yeah.
as I was saying, let's have a look. As soon as I've gone in, I can see all of like the bricks people all shaking hands. It seems like there's agreements and things that are being made, but what my heart's showing me that this is all smoke and mirrors, because the agreements are already there, they're already in place, they've already been done. So this is, what is this meeting about? Just seems to be like this meeting is I just keep getting the word smoke and mirrors. So it's kind of like, I guess it just feels like it's the way of everybody focusing on this meeting and not
Mm,
focusing on other things that is going on. So I don't know what other things are
another
going on, but
diversion.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
just what it kind of feels like, because it's like they're showing me these agreements are already in place, they're already done. It's just when they flip the switch or whatever. So let me just, let's go in a bit more about these agreements. What's when I'm looking in, all I can see is that when I'm looking at the actual BRICS meetings, all of the actual world leaders and that are a part of it, it's like they're just sat there, just like this, like puppets, not saying anything. So I was just asking, like, what are these agreements? And it had like a real military feel, and it was actually, there's more and I felt like it was to do with America, but about military. So, and it's like transport, and it just, because I kept seeing trains as well. It's like, and it was more to do with, but there's more of a military feel about it, and it was more these agreements are. Let me keep going in because it's like a weird. There's a
Well,
few things that are coming.
there's a
Sorry.
two sides of that people have. Like some people say that there's a good military and a bad military, or white hats, black hats, whatever. Do you think you could see like if it's one or the other in your military?
There is still like a fight going on in between. So I'm just trying to ask about. this train, and it's like taking me this. It's weird. So what is that? It's like taking me underground. This is definitely old world stuff because like it's like showing me underground tunnels and it's like with these trains and because when I was looking at these trains and I've never seen these kind of trains before, but they were and then when I was following it, it was like going, it was underground and it was like going and then when I asked about where is it going, it's like literally like they could just go anywhere in the world, like they're all connected. So I was
Well,
kind of thinking the same thing.
I've heard stories about there being trains underground and like people can get from like New York to California in like an hour. Like they already exist. I don't know
This
if that's
yeah, this is
interesting.
kind of yeah, this is it's like I think I need to move away from the BRICS thing because it doesn't seem to actually that's just that's just smoke and mirrors. I don't feel like anything's going to massively change from that meeting. It's like the
But
agreements are already
now
there.
this is just a subtlety, but are you saying that the meeting itself is not a thing or BRICS is not a thing?
Oh, I
Like,
feel
did they
well, I was
already, like,
asking
is BRICS already in place and the meeting's just a formality? Or is
that
really
kind of
BRICS
yeah.
not a
It
thing?
seems like that maybe I think because I was asking the question of the actual meeting itself. So I feel like it's the meeting itself is redundant. I
Right.
feel like they it's like it's a distraction, but it's also it's like a hype as well. It just feels like there's a way of getting people to hype about it and worry, and there's more fear created
Yeah.
from it.
It's always
It's
about the fear, isn't it?
yeah, but it doesn't feel like it feels like there's well from what my heart was showing me is these agreements they're already in place, they're already done, like there's nothing being agreed at this meeting.
Right.
It's
Okay.
just they just sat there.
Do you feel like you can feel some energies of the agreements, or do you want to leave this
Well
topic
that's
right now?
what that well that's what I so that's when I looked into some of the agreements and there was like that's why there was this train and there it was just showing me the connections, so I don't know whether that was trying to show me that there's the trains that are underground, the connections that are already there, but it seemed transport seemed to be a part of these agreements, and it was part of these agreements are
Hmm.
these underground tunnels. It was just they seemed to show me these trains that were going very anywhere in the world. It just seemed like it's just like everywhere in the world. So there's like agreements to do with that. Um, I guess who has control of them because it had like a military feel behind it, and it seemed like America. That's I don't know whether that's that maybe they had more control of it before, and that's what they're trying to have an agreement over. Um, but you know what they're all like anyway. They can't really agree on anything. They
Right.
stab each other in the backs anyway. It just seems
Yeah.
like these had a military feel, and it was like it just seemed like America had I guess, predominantly ownership of these kind of trains and their
Trains.
routes. And then it
Interesting.
just seems that's under question. So let me do because that's just what kind of come. I've never seen this before, so this is all new to me. So I'm trying to understand, and I don't know anything about any of this stuff. So, so let me just because it was just what I was asking what the agreements, what's in these agreements, and it was just that seemed to be one of the a part of the agreements, but it seems what is it's like trade routes. So I can see it's like I'm just shown a piece of paper with like all of the topics on there from the meeting. It's not even, sorry, it's not even, it's like listed, that's what's going to come out of the meeting, but it's already been agreed. That's, yeah, so if that makes any sense. So it's like I'm seeing, I'm just going to go more into this trade thing because like with the underground. Seems like there's an agreement with movement of people, just people seem to be, and I had this horrible feeling that I probably don't want to keep going into that, but it's people, the agreement with the people moving between the countries, but they sent through these underground tunnels. So it just seems like those tunnels weren't like they weren't operating before, and it was mainly dominated by, I guess, it felt like American energies, but I'm thinking maybe the West, as they, and then it's like they've lost control. So maybe like what you said before about the two different kind of fractions, it
You're
seems
right.
like they've, yeah, they're
They're
trying to
duking it out.
take that, yeah, over. It's like it's, yeah, so these trade routes and but there's people moving from one place to another. It was like I could
The,
see a lot more. It's
when you
like
see the people moving from one place to the other, is it, and did you say you felt negative energy around it? Like maybe people are being moved against their will?
I felt like it was more to do with people in a in a negative way, I guess. It seems like people being moved to overrun other countries.
Hmm.
That, if that makes any sense, I don't know. That's just the feeling I get. It's like these people are moving.
So like troops, maybe.
Not troops. These were people that were like
Oh,
homeless
like
people.
immigrant types.
Yeah, yeah, like people
Ah,
that didn't.
okay.
It seemed like it was a part of it to move them across into, I guess, more Western countries. Let me have a look more why. Why? Oh God. Seems like just like these people are innocent, but it's like a way of infiltrating is the word that I got, was like infiltrating some of these countries.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we're seeing going on now without trains, right? Across our borders and your borders. Everyone's borders are just getting inundated with people. And I think like New York City, for one, it's really causing a lot of damage to the infrastructure because they just can't support the people that are being moved there forcibly. They're
It's,
making it as if these people are just trying to immigrate to the United States, but it's really, you can tell it's just been kind of a forced kind of thing.
yeah,
So maybe
this is
that's
what it kind of feels like.
maybe
So
that's
let me
part of it.
just, why are these, why? Like I say,
Fascinating.
it's infiltrating. Just keep getting this like to bring down the economy. Seems like America, in like the UK, um, Germany, all of these
All the
countries are,
Western countries.
yeah, it seems like a big target. And but it's also, it's like a part of the agreement that they have to allow this to happen. But there's like a hidden agenda from it. It's like there, it just seems, because I'm seeing like two different bits from it. So it's like I can see these people coming in, and it's like it's like initially I'm being told it's for to help work, to bring in work, but then underneath it it's like to bring down the economy.
Right. To inundate the city.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it just feels like. It's like it's like one side is, yeah. So you can see they're very manipulative, all of these groups, these fractions, and then they're trying to take each other down. And it's really the West countries, I feel like, are actually getting inundated with these things on purpose for this reason, to bring down the economy. So it's quite
But
heavy
now,
stuff.
since the channel is my channel anyway, is the Higher Vibe Project, I always try and look at things in light of like how we can look at things and not get drawn into the negativity of it, right? And we've talked about, we know that the system needs to come down. The system has to come down so that we can build something better. So that this is just part of that, right? So maybe my question about whether it's white hats or black hats, then it's both, maybe allowing this to happen or bringing it on.
I think let me just have a look, because I feel like this is, because this is old world stuff. So this is what's, because it feels like it's trying to take down American dominance over the world. That's,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
that's pretty
and
clear
it's,
and out in the open.
yeah, like that seems to be it. But the other feeling that I'm getting is this is old world stuff. This isn't going to affect the new world at all. It's
Right.
like I'm watching it, how they think they're being clever. This
Right.
is how I can say it's like they are trying to manipulate each other. And it seems like the, I don't know, it's one side. So basically, the side that used to have more power has fallen, and they're fighting within themselves. But then the other side have come more together and that are fighting against them. But then there's like some agreements with them, and they're backhanding each other to gain dominance. That's just what it is, what's happening. That's the only way I can actually describe it. So what I'm seeing is all of these, it's like they're shaking their hands, but then what I'm seeing is like shaking the hands of like agreements, but then one's behind their back of in like, like,
With their fingers like this.
yeah. So that's just how I'm seeing it. But it's like, but ultimately none of that's going to matter to the new earth side of things, because it's not going to happen on the new earth. Like, they're already imploding themselves without us even creating it without it.
Right.
And I just feel like this is going to bring more light to people. So of these, the trade, so like you said, to look into the positive side of it, this is going to, even though their plan is to bring down the economy, I feel like actually they can't bring down the American economy. Like, the American economy is a lot stronger. I think they can bring down the British one. I feel like the British one is where, like that. When I look into that, I'm like, oh shit.
I always felt like the
I'm here.
British and the United States economies are so tied together,
It's so tight, yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
you
let's
know,
face it, I feel if the American economy goes down, a lot of the world is going to have issues of just how everything's structured right now. So we talked about it a little bit before we started recording. And a lot of people are worried about BRICS because they think that it's going to take down the dollar. Like the dollar is no longer going to be the reserve currency. Like that's what they're working on, right? So my question would be, if you could look at it, if you can see anything, if not, that's okay too. But can you look and see if this BRICS thing is really going to work to take away the dollar as the dominant currency and crash the dollar?
okay, let's have a look about, let me just ask the, let's have a look about the dollar. I still see the dollar being used. I can still see it being used. I don't see, like, yes, its dominance might be taken down, but it's like it still has its place.
That's
That's,
the way I always felt. So I intuited that when I see people with these fear porn titles that say, you know, the dollar's going to crash, right? They're just looking to get views. And then the information behind it just doesn't ring true to me, because look at all the empires that have fallen before. Well, the UK for one, right? You guys had the dominant currency at one time. You guys were on top at one time, but you didn't crash and burn and everybody's not laying in the streets homeless. Things just changed. So I feel you're right on that. The dollar will still be there. It
I
just
think it
may
still
not
be
be.
used,
Yeah.
but I can see other currencies coming into play. So it's like what I can see is like four main currencies that are being used. I can't. It seems to be. It just seems like because there's the dollar that's there, and then I can see. Where's that? The way that I'm actually seeing this, and I don't know, it just seems like the four currencies, it's like showing me the four corners of the world as such. So you've got like, you've got the dollar up here, and then you've got the Russian bit here, and then you've got the China bit here, and then you've got like the Brazilian. So I don't know what their currency is. But then when I was asking about the euro and that, it just seems to be flat.
Yeah,
So
good. No.
then it's like I feel like it's still going to be there, but it's like the dominating ones. It's like there's an agreement to move those across a lot easier without having any problems because that's just what it looks like. But I can see that they're all trying to. It's just like they're saying that, but then underneath they're trying to get rid of all of them to take dominance, and that's going to be their ultimate downfall. Is that they're still always going to they're not sharing basically is how I can see as like a it's like a
They can't, even in light of everything that's going on, they still can't play together.
exactly it just
You'd
seems
think,
like that it just seems like
yeah,
so I feel like we're going to see a time where there's going to be four quite dominant currencies that you can trade in that's a bit more open. But America, the dollar is still going to be quite strong and
yeah,
still there. It's too ingrained in a lot of things. So I feel like they can't stop that, but they can
yeah.
use it to their advantage. But then also I see another one coming up, which is like the digital. So this is
Oh,
where
are we gonna
so
go
let
down
me
that? Are we gonna go down that rabbit hole now? Woohoo! Digital.
just right, so I can see, right, so this digital currency, it's not even a currency. I think it is definitely to do with cryptocurrency, but it's like the baseline of it, it brings them all together, but ultimately it's going to control all of them.
So do you
And
think
the
we're gonna,
energy that I get is from America. So
I
it's like America still
good
gets
old
it.
America. So do you think that
Military.
we're gonna be a cashless society? Are you feeling that to that extent?
Um, let's have a look. I feel like cash will always have its place if we want it. It just seems like in this is all old world stuff. It just seems like
Yeah.
it's gonna get harder to use it. So if we still want it, it's still gonna be available. But it just seems like the inflation and the cost of things going up and up and up through time. It's like I can see, yeah, I've seen like it's like a scene of the future, like a near future. And this is only what I'm getting today. So these things
Right.
can change.
Could be different. Well, timelines change all the time.
If I tap into the new, like the new Earth energies, it's completely different. It's not like that at all. So this is So let me, because it's
That's
I'm
why
seeing both
I
at the
always
same.
bang the drum of spending more time thinking about how you want things to be. It's important that we look at these things that we're looking at today because you want to be aware of what's going on. But honestly, your energy is better spent focusing on how you want things to be, because you said something earlier that cash will still be there if we want it. Well, everything will still be there if we want it. So it's what do we want, right? To
Yeah.
create for the new world that you're going to talk about now.
Yeah. So like we're just so that's the old world stuff. It just seems like basically the crypto, it's like a crypto digital currency. My brain is decoding
I
it
think
as
it's called
crypto, but it's
CBD. I can't remember what.
central bank digital currencies.
Yeah, yes.
But that's it's like it just seems like what I'm seeing is like I'm seeing the different currencies, different flags in the different parts of the world, and then it's like this energy underneath that's connecting them all, but actually it's like not only connecting it all, it's like taking it all down. So it's like consuming it is the only way I can.
Okay.
But it's like they're fighting. It's like there is a fight to allow that, and it's just that just seems what is going to happen, that bit. And it's ultimately run by AI. That's what I can see. It's like that static kind of energy that's like, and it's underneath, and it's yeah, it just that's what it looks like. It just looks like you've got these currencies and they're all like fighting each other for dominance and like oh, like that. And thinking that oh, we've got an agreement here, we're working with that one, but actually they're stabbing each other in the back completely, like Russia and China stabbing each other. I didn't realize that Brazil had such a big dominance, but there seems to be like stabbing in the back for all of it. But
Well,
then like I said, underneath.
Brazil's part of BRICS. That was part of the original. It was supposed to be for developing countries. And I should have looked this up before, what BRICS actually stands for, but I know Brazil's one of them. The B.
Yeah. But it's just that's what I was seeing. It just seems like the four corners of that. Um, but then this underlining thing, which is the digital, which I'm translating it as cryptocurrency, a form of cryptocurrency. But it just
Yeah,
seems to
BRICS
be
here
that
is BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
okay.
That's what I had forgotten most of them. So
I feel like I'm not seeing the energies for like Europe and that. I think maybe because it's not been decided yet whether it will be the
well,
pound or
that's what I was wondering, because they keep talking about how BRICS is coming out and it was going to be gold back. Do you get that it's actually gold back, or is that just BS?
what BRICS is gold back. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't really right. I'm trying to. Where is this going? Okay, right. Sorry, I was just trying to understand what I was seeing because I was seeing like gold and then I was seeing like gold stacked up. And then it was like there was no gold over here, but they were saying there's gold. There's gold over here, but there's no gold here, or there's only a few. It's just like they don't have as much gold as they're saying they have, but also they don't want to spend it. It's like I can see them holding on to it. It's like it was just like I've got like an image of like Scrooge where they was like really didn't want to. So I feel like
Hoarding.
they're not even going to use it because they're so terrified of using it, of losing it. It's like this real lack and fear of having a lack of gold, like they're just hoarding it. That's
Interesting.
just, and it didn't even seem like they had as much gold. It seemed to be like a scarcity of gold that they were trying to get it, but it was like they're all going to hold on to it for like dear life, which is weird. So
So that
I'm
that
not
sort of
sure
gives me
how
the
that's,
impression that it's not going to be gold backed.
there doesn't seem like there's enough gold for it to be gold backed.
For all those, it's Brazil is all those countries are huge. Lots of people using lots of currency. You'd need a lot of gold to back those currencies.
Yeah. But it was weird. So I'm not sure if that really
So
answers
then
any questions.
if it's not gold backed, then it would be hard for them to become like to become the next big thing, because there's nothing different about that. I was wondering if then everybody was going to go gold back, which is, I guess that's the Gisara and Nisara story, right? We're going to gold back money, but I don't know. I don't
That
know if
would
that's the
be,
next logical step or not.
if you think, if there was to, from what I know about gold and stuff, is if we were to go back to the gold standard, they would have to write off, I don't know, trillions, because
Yeah.
there isn't enough gold to be able to cover that.
Well,
So
they're gonna have to do a reset of debt anyway, because all
that would
these countries have
crash
so much
everything.
debt, you know?
Yeah.
And
So
I think it was um the Jewish people many, 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 many years ago. I think the Bible speaks about every 7 years they would wipe out debt, because you can't get into a situation where debt will keep you in slavery forever. And that's the
yeah,
situation we're in now, right? Where people have to use debt to survive, some of them, and you never get out of it. And the way that the mortgages are done in the United States, I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but in the United States, every time you refinance or buy a new house, they front load interest. So you're paying way more than just if you had a loan and it was for 10% and you just paid 10% every year of what you owed, that would be one thing. But they front load all the interest. So you're never really getting out from under debt. People,
I think that's the point though, isn't it?
yeah,
To not
yeah,
get
that's
out of
it.
debt. I feel like that's the, the whole, it seems like they don't, it seems like they have, when I'm looking at it, it seems like they haven't got, it's like their overlords or whoever was telling them what to do before have gone, because they don't have a clue. It really just seems like that. They've just been consumed by, it just seems the energies are just like consumed of greed, and then there's like lacking, and then there's fear. So there is just keep battling it out with each other. But they also don't want to crash any of the economies because they're all actually linked. It just seems like they're all linked in a
Together.
way. So they
Yeah.
have to have some kind of agreements with them, but they can still have an agreements when trying to still get ultimate dominance because
Yeah.
they're playing the long game. But it just seems like they're following, um, it's like they're following some kind of plan that has been implemented for whatever, for whoever, but they're not, it's like they're not smart enough to actually, um,
Carry it out.
well, it's like they don't, they're just following it to the T. That's all I can keep. It's like a feeling of they're just following directions. They're not, the directions, they're not getting told anything because there's nothing new. So it's like it's not working, it's not adapting to the new, and it's like it's just like that's not being evolved, if that makes any sense. It's just like
It
they're just
does,
staying in
totally.
one
Because
path.
like I've known that for a while, that the layer above the people we see that we think are, the dark, that layer above was removed
Yeah, and it's
a,
just
a
like
a bit
they're
ago.
just running around like they, it's just chaotic. Every time you look into those energies, it's just
I
chaotic.
love
So
that.
yeah, so these agreements that are at the BRICS have already been in place. It's just these are all plans. It just seems like these are plans that have been going on for generations and they're still carrying them out, but they're
Yeah,
not
that totally resonates
evolving
with me.
to like what's actually happening. And it's just like it's like when you're on, but when you're looking from the new Earth and you're looking at it, it's like you can see how much chaos there is, and you can see it's just like because you get a higher perspective and you get a broader perspective that you can see that they're just on one kind of straight line that's not evolving to what's going on. So it's not going to work. It can't work because
Right.
there's
It
no,
never was going to
it's not
work. Yeah.
adapting. Yeah, it's
It's,
like it's worked to a certain extent, but it's like we're breaking out of it, but it's like going to be so it's getting more obvious. I feel like it's just going to be more obvious for people to actually see that and
yeah.
look at it and think, whoa. But it's
And
just
you
a lot of
definitely see more and more people waking up to this stuff. I mean, every time I see, like, well, for instance, that guy that just came out with that song. Have you heard that song? That American singer came out with? Oh no, I'm not gonna remember the name. The something north of Richmond, the rich men north of Richmond, which is a town in the South. Richmond is a town in the South. So, and it's a song about how downtrodden the working class is in America. And it's just gone crazy viral. And if you look
it's
at
true
what?
because it's true, isn't it?
Yes,
You
exactly.
know,
And it
it's
resonates with just about
yeah,
everybody. And so you go in the comments and it's just like everything's like, oh, yes, yes. And you just know that people are feeling it. And soon it's
that's
just going
it.
to reach that tipping point.
I just feel like with America, it's like the message of America is freedom, isn't it? It's like it's always
Yeah,
about freedom, which is a powerful message, and it just seems like that is the message that they don't want it to be because they don't,
absolutely.
it represents freedom in us, and that's why I feel like it's been massively attacked because because of that, because of the message of it.
Well, yeah,
It's
and
like
they're attacking from all sides. They're trying to do racial division, and now with the homosexual stuff, they're trying to pit us against each other there. Like everything's just trying to get us angry and pissed off and against each other to break this up. And then you bring in the immigrant situation and the overloading of the cities, overloading of hospitals. It's just nuts.
yeah. So let me just go into the new Earth energies. About the dollar and stuff, and currencies and stuff. It's just when I was just like as I was asking the question about like the new energies, it was like I needed to see the old energies, and it was just like that they will because they're trying to fight and everything, and it's like they're being, this digital kind of take over, and they will like be imploding. It was like they give stuff back. They'd be like pleading to give stuff back, which I don't. So that's why I thought that's quite interesting because it was literally I could see they were like it was like they had that realization like this is done, we need, yeah, I don't, but it just seems they were trying to give it back.
Interesting.
So
Put the
it was
genie
like when I
back in the
looked at
bottle.
it from, yeah, well it's just when I look at it from the new Earth energies, it's more about us attracting it. I just seen people on an individual level attracting money from anywhere, like it's like you're just gonna make it happen no matter what you want. It doesn't seem to matter what currency. It just seems like you're going to bring in what it is that you need and what you want, no matter how, if it's money or if it's in other ways. That's just what it looks like to me. It's like, because there's so much more energy and there's this like abundant energy in there. Like at the moment, it doesn't feel like there's that abundant energy right now. It feels quite
Right.
dense. And it's just like I feel like it's because we're ready, we're getting ready for it. But this like keep tapping into this like tidal wave of abundance energy coming in, and that could represent anything. So that's what's coming in on the new earth side of it. And then that's when that happens, I feel like that's when we're gonna, because it's like we're gonna see like because it's already imploding on that side anyway, but it's like
Yeah.
we're gonna actually see it as probably a crash as some sort, but it's not
Like
gonna
a
like
stock market
affect.
crash or something like that.
Yeah, but when I look at it, it's like my heart's saying things might look uncomfortable, but it's not going to be. So it might be perceived as uncomfortable. So it might be perceived that things are more, but then you've got the option. That's just what it is. Just like, yeah. So when I look into it, so let me just get an update of this because this is what keeps coming up. It's like, right, so just for this example, as my heart showed me. So it's like there's a product and there's like a brand and they have their prices so high up that people stop buying it. And there's like alternatives. It's like you have the choice even now to buy the alternatives. Don't have to buy that brand just because they're going up and up and up. Let them go up. And it's just like that's their failure. It just seems like they're getting going up and up because not because they need the money, not because prices of things are going up, it's because of the greed and the
Yeah.
energy that's underneath it is a lack. They're in this real lack energy. When I've gone into it, it's like they're really lacking energy. So they're needing the energy from us, which is why this is when I look into like the UK with the inflation. It's like they need our energy on an energetic level. They're running out of energy because they don't create their own energy.
Right.
They're kind of parasitic because they're unconscious, so they need consciousness, they need the conscious energy, and they're like running out, and they know
We're
they're
like their
running out.
batteries. Yeah.
Yeah, so they haven't got that energy. So that's probably why I was seeing that they were like, oh, we're gonna have to give back because it's like something happens and they're like, oh shit, trying to give something back to kind of get something. So that was weird because I've never seen that before. So that was interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I just feel like my heart's just saying to me, like for me, like I don't need to buy those brands that are going up because they don't need to actually have their prices that high. They're claiming all of these things, but it's all rubbish. It's all about greed.
Yeah.
They're trying to be as greedy as possible. But the funny thing is, it's like they don't realize, this is what I was saying earlier. It's like they haven't, they're still following their plan, but they're like skipping like so far ahead because it just, I guess it's like, what's the word? I'm trying to think of, it's like a saying or it's like they feel like they're untouchable.
Mm.
Like they feel like they're untouchable right now and they are doing all of these things and all of that, and we can't do anything about it.
Well, you can feel that
That's
arrogance,
yeah,
when
that's the
these talk,
word.
yeah,
Arrogance.
arrogance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you can
Yeah.
see it like when Klaus Schwab or any of these other guys come on and start blah blah blahing. You could see
Yeah,
their
it's just
arrogance
they
as
have
if,
no idea. No
yeah,
idea.
as if they have the rights to like control humans. Like it's just crazy.
And it's like so they have no new ideas. They can they're just trying to carry on the same plan, but they've
And you
like
can't
it's
do
just
that. I mean,
escalated
that
it.
doesn't work in real life. You have to be able to adapt to changing situations. And if they can't do that because they don't create themselves, they don't know how to create themselves, they don't have that spark of creation. So they're just going to continue down that playbook, like you said. And we know that's going to fail, but that's good. The sooner the
It's
better.
just I know. I think this time, I think it's like this is happening on a multi-dimensional level. That's what it's like the feeling of it's not just happening here. This is happening on a multi-dimensional level. So these things do take time in our time, but not because outside there's no time. So
Yeah.
it's just, like things are happening. But I just feel like there's still a bit of time of feeling uncomfortable. That's what I get. So like when my heart was saying, things might be uncomfortable, but even though, so say if these bills go up, I'm still going to find money from somewhere else. I
Yeah,
just have to be open and believe that it's going to be okay. So, and just carry on. And, you know, the main thing is to not be in that fear mode and to
exactly.
keep going into your empowerment
Well,
and to
that's the key to
intuitively look at things.
manifestation is to believe and to trust in your own power and the fact that your intentions can change your reality.
Yeah. And we're
And
getting
that's
more of that supportive energy. And that's what I mean, that abundance energy that's coming in. It's like everyone's going to feel so abundant that, you know, every time I tap into it, it's like everyone's just got so much money and so many things and everything that it's like you don't you don't need to worry about it or anything. It's, you know, but I also feel like I'm not supposed to say too much about how that's going to happen, because I feel like that's a part of our own ego death. Is if we keep asking how, when, you know, it's like we're holding on, we're trying to control it, and I think that's the point.
and then
We're
we're not
supposed to,
experiencing it,
yeah.
right? We're listening, like if you came on and did that, then I would listen to you and take that as truth rather than experiencing it and learning how
Yeah.
to create it myself.
Everyone should just take what resonates with them. You know, I'm only
Yeah.
saying what I can see and from my understanding so far. So, you know, this could change the more I understand, or, you know, things change all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like when I tap into like the new earth energies of how things are going to look, it's like it's like I skip a bit. It's like this bit here that I'm not allowed to see. And every time I try and look at it, it's like, you know, you're not supposed to.
How long a
You have
period is
to
that, Lil?
trust. So I'm like, so how is this? But it's
Is
like I
it
just
is
have
that
to
empty
trust it.
period that you can't see a year or 2 years?
I actually feel that it's actually down to us. The more we become empowered, so it's like, so looking at those, so like the items in the shop, do you really need to buy that brand? Can you find an alternative? Like, is it, you know, like it's kind of like intuitively thinking, you know, supporting these companies that are coming from a good place
Yeah.
and not supporting the
Yeah.
companies that are not coming from a good place. It just seems like that we have the power to shift it all. And it's like,
Well, like
if we don't
for
want to use money,
instance,
we don't have to. Or if we want to use money, then we do.
for actual real life example of that, there's a gas station in my town. And about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, gas prices went up quite a bit, like 30 cents a gallon. I don't know what that equates to for you guys, but it's a big chunk for us. And so everybody raised their prices. Then just the other day, the gas station down the street raised their prices another 20 cents. Nobody else did. Like, so they can't claim of the situation because everybody's like, oh, the gas prices are going up, gas prices are going up. But they're doing it just
Yeah.
to take advantage. And I said to my husband, I will never go to that gas station again. I won't even go buy a soda there because taking advantage of people in that situation, I think is like low, so low.
Just it's the
I,
greed. I feel
yeah,
like there's like that's one of the, so they have a lot of greed because they have a lot of lack of energy and they have that lacking. So
yeah,
that reality is so it that's why the greed is there. Whereas the new reality, that energy needs to be removed.
yeah,
So this is where I feel like people need to look at themselves and look into if they have that, you know, we've all had this energy and we all need to
yeah,
learn from it, but like it comes from a state of lack. So it's like
totally.
tapping into your abundance in your heart so that you don't have the same lacking energy. But I feel like the more people do that, the more we'll be able to shift it. So, you know, that, but then universally, and like I think Becky talks about with Gaia, like how she's just going to push it. But when I've looked at it, it looks like Gaia's kind of completely let go of the other reality. It's us that haven't. So it's like she's going to be like a mother at some point and be like, boom, you've had enough. But she would prefer it if we could, you know, empower ourselves to let go, you know? So
And
the more we let
for
go of
those
that.
of you that don't know who she just mentioned, that it's Rebecca Barron from Find the Light, and we both trained under her. She's a great person.
Yeah, beautiful. Changed my life.
Yeah.
So
Mine
let me
too.
have a look. Let me have a look into because those old energies, it just seems like they're just playing out. It's like I'm being seen, that they're showing you the greed. It's like when I'm talking about the greed, it's like they're showing you how greedy they are, but no one's doing anything about it. So they don't, that is the arrogance of it. Like, look, we're showing you, we're getting these £1 million bonuses. That's what I've seen. It was like the CEO getting these £1 million bonuses out of our money, and it was like showing like ha 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 kind of thing, like this is
Yeah.
that energy,
Mhm.
like we can do this. But that's where they just need to grow up, really. It's just
Yeah.
but it's the arrogance of it, and they have no idea what's actually happening. It just feels like the people that were above that actually did know about these things have all gone, and they're the ones that would have been able to see and be able to understand, like, this is not a good time to do this, we've got to change this and stuff like this. But it's like there's no direction. It's like they're running around and it's just chaotic, and that's why it's like they're all fighting for dominance, because they don't actually have
Oh,
the dominant person over. It's like because they work in a pyramid scheme. So basically there's a lot of oppositions, and that to keep the division, because they're all about dividing. I just always see Game of Thrones. It's like that's
yeah.
just when you've just got the four, that's just what it reminds me of. And they're all just fighting for dominance. But when you watch it, if you think by the end, it's like they're all gone.
Yeah. All of them. Yeah.
So,
Not before they took out some people, though.
yeah, I know. That's the bad bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So not so good stuff. But I
Great
don't think people need
stuff.
to be in fear of that. So I hope that actually helps with the BRICS stuff.
Yeah, that
Um,
was interesting. I mean, we still didn't tie together how those trains work in there, but I guess it was just something you needed to get out.
yeah, I don't.
You
Yeah,
saw it.
it just seemed like that was it was a because I was just asking what one of the agreements are, which are already in place. Like I said, these are already in place, and I don't see it's going to
So
be.
it just ties in with what they want to do with the currency and how they want things to progress in
Yeah,
different
like things
countries,
on that side
taking
are
them.
progressing fast. So it feels like after that meeting, well, even in the meeting, these things have already been enacted, but it's like you can already see. If I'm sure there's probably people that know how to look into these things, there's evidence of all these things already. It's already there. Um,
Yeah.
but it seems like that reality is like moving like lightning speed. So I think maybe
They can
that's
have
why it
it.
looks. Yeah, but I feel like that's probably why we're thinking that is like, oh, all the chaos and stuff like that. When you're looking at it so much and you're
Yeah.
involved in it, it just consumes you a bit, and you're just like, you can get so worried, and it's like, oh, it's all happening around. But if you step outside of it and you don't even focus on it, and you keep your energy away from it, and you focus on doing things that you enjoy,
Yeah.
then you kind of see it from a different perspective. But it's like it's moving faster because they're running out of energy. That's the truth. They're running out of energy. So they're going to try and attract your energy as much as possible. So in the news and things like that, more division, as they can keep people divided. It's like on an energetic scale, isn't it? If you can keep you divided within yourself, then you can't, you won't have that intuition to be like, oh no, that's bullshit.
Right.
you know
Exactly.
because a lot of it is like that, because they always focus on the same senses, don't they always make a fake story, they give you the visuals of the fake story, they get the fake actors, so then you see it and you think it's real, but it's actually not real at all, because you're only relying on the one sense. Like, we've got more senses to us than just the
Right.
basic five.
Right.
We've got our sixth sense, our consciousness is our feelings. But if you look, if you look at something and how you feel about it, your heart will show you. If you feel icky about it, it's because it's not real, or if it's not, that's it. So that's the best way to actually deal with these things. But they're relying on you only focusing through your eyes and, doing all of that. It's a
And
minefield.
it is easy to let them take your energy when you spend a lot of time. And I know that because that's basically how I woke up to all of these things, was just looking at the conspiracies. So it's just hard to break yourself out of the habit, of like conspiracy watching 24 hours a day, because there's so much beyond that. I mean, I think it's there mainly to wake us up. And so once you're awake, you can start, like, again, back to what I said before, start creating the world, the reality that you do want, and make that
But we
happen
have to
and
let
stop.
go of these like conspiracy theories as well, because they can hold us back. Like,
Yeah.
it's good to have understanding and to know, but some of them are also not real as well.
Yeah.
They're all to keep you, away from yourself, away from being connected. Some of them are true or based on truth, and there's like,
Well, and some
but
of them are created because they put the story out there, and then we create it by focusing on it and giving it the energy,
yeah,
because that we are the creators, not them.
exactly. I think you can see
So
it in
it's
the
hard.
movies and things, like how they've repeated, like, all the movies that come out now are all the same from repeats, majority of them, and then you
Mm,
get one that somebody's written from like the heart, and you really like resonate with it and stuff like that, and it's like they hold on to those things and then they just repeat it. Like,
yeah,
that's not come from them at all, because they don't have that.
have that ability. All right. This was good stuff, Tam, for our first chat.
It's a lot of things I didn't realize or even looking into. So yeah, it was interesting. So I
Good
hope
stuff.
that resonates, and if anybody has any information around what was said, then just to confirm or to give any more information, then that would be great, because yeah, some of it I don't know about some of this stuff, so that was kind of new to me, especially the trains. I didn't know there was those, and I didn't
Yeah.
realize about the
High
people
speed
moving
trains. Yeah.
in that
Supposedly.
way.
Yeah.
The agreement, yeah. It just seems like that's what they were using for people. Unless it's like a metaphor for movement, transport of people. But it just seems that was, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
pondering
Great.
that. But okay.
All right. Hopefully we'll do
Something
this again soon.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks.
Talk
Bye,
later.
everyone.